Switch camera on.
This program proudly brought to you by Southern Cross Pitch and Putt and Henry's Family Restaurant. Round 18 in the NBL, and the Cannons prepare for the league leaders, the Victoria Titans.
I guess we got to go with the Mosquito fleet and try to outquick them.
We meet the former Woodville Warrior, now running the point for the Canberra Cannons.
I'm not saying he's going out there and dominating, but he's definitely holding his own.
And we have the highlights from last night's top-of-the-table clash in Melbourne, all here on Cannons Courtside.
Good morning and welcome to Cannons Courtside. Yes, great to have company. We've got a very big show lined up for you today. Our special guest is David Simmons, one of the real veterans of the league. You wouldn't mind me calling you a veteran, I guess?
No, don't mind it at all, Phil.
Been around a long time. When I call you a veteran, let's run through the David Simmons story and just, I know you came out to join the Melbourne Tigers. Right. What year was that?
Came out to join the Melbourne Tigers in 1989 and played with the Tigers for 8 years and had a couple of years with Newcastle. And played for Sydney Kings for 1 minute, and then ended up in Canberra.
I don't even remember you playing for the Sydney Kings. Tell me about that.
That's probably a good thing. It was during mid-season. It's when the Kings, I believe, went through maybe 7, 8 imports in the one season. Anyway, I think they broke a record in imports used for 1 year. And got a call from Billy Tomlinson, went down to play with the Kings. I think I played 6 games. I think we may have been 3-3, but they felt like they needed to go small. At first they need to go big, and then they thought they needed to go small. So there went David Simmons, and in comes a little guard. And he didn't last long either. So they obviously didn't know what they wanted that year. But
You've seen it all in the NBL because you had some terrifically successful years with the Tigers too, didn't you?
Yes, definitely. I look back on those years, and maybe we may have taken it for granted making the playoffs. I mean, every year we made the playoffs, and 3 out of those 8 years we were in the grand finals. So and we happened to win one of them. So. In Melbourne, we just got used to winning.
Then you went to the Newcastle Falcons. Not such a happy time there because the club folded.
Yeah, well, it was a good basketball. We had a good time, but I guess off the court with the administration and the things that were happening in the club, going into voluntary administration twice, that wasn't a good thing. But yeah, enjoyed that. Got to meet some very good people up there. One of the people was Butch Hayes, of course, a great player in this league and a veteran as well. And yeah, after that, worked for a while and then ended up in Canberra. And again, you know, I enjoyed coming here, meeting people. I mean, we haven't had the best of seasons so far, but you know, it's been a real positive note for myself and my family.
Let's get on to that season at the moment, because last weekend, Townsville, the Cannons went to, they completed a miserable weekend for the Canberra Cannons. To recap, the Cannons played the Razorbacks at West Sydney on Friday night, then they had the long haul to the deep north. Let's take a look at some of that game. Up against the Townsville Crocodiles in Townsville, it is one of the tougher road trips of the league, isn't it?
Oh, it definitely is. You know, you fly up to Sydney, and then you're up in the morning the next night to go up to Townsville, and you're talking about coming into one of the top-ranked teams as well.
And a team that's got, what, Patrick Reedy, they've got Mike Kelly, they've got Robert Rose, and just talent all over the floor.
Yeah, well, Andrew Goodwin out there as well. They've picked up another import, and they've also got Sam McKinnon to come, but they've also got great chemistry working at the moment, and they've had this for the past couple of years. So the guys are really getting to know each other very well. They play well already. Great chemistry. You see Mike Kelly there. He's been a standout player for them this year.
And this game, you having seen them last week, would you get the idea that Townsville's going to be one of the contenders? I mean, there are probably 3 or 4 lining up for the race this year.
I'd say Townsville will be one of them, but the only thing about Townsville is I think they'll be very similar to last year. They'll be very competitive, but I still think they're missing that big center, which I thought they had at the beginning of the season in Wiley, but he's gone now, so I don't know where that sort of leaves them in the playoff picture.
Now, just tell us how this game unfolded. Did you think you were in the game at any stage?
Well, I think we were early in the piece. Again, you know, we're starting off with a new import in Demetrius. So as we're starting the game, the guys are sort of trying to get a feel for things. Demetrius is still trying to feel his way through as well. So, you know, the chemistry was never going to be there on the night. We were just hoping the guys came out and, you know, we played hard and, you know, and stuck with the game plan. And hopefully we could stay close to him. But as it turns out, I don't know if the night before had anything to do with it as well and all the travel. But they did what they do. They just run it very well, and before you know it, it's a 20-point lead, and the game's over.
As a result, the Cannons losing to West Sydney by 16. Jason Wells with 26, the top man. Yaya Deer with 31 for West Sydney. Townsville 112-92, a 20-point win. Again, Jason Wells doing it with 29, and Rob Rose, the former Canberra Cannon, with 20 for Townsville. So Jason Wells had a pretty good weekend, but he's playing a bit of a lone hand at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, well, Jason's been putting up some big numbers, but as I spoke to Jason yesterday, he said he'd surely trade in that 29 or 30 points for 15 points, you know, and to win. So, you know, I understand exactly where he's coming from, and hopefully tonight that's what we'll do. You know, the guys will all stand up and say, hey, you know, Jason's been going out getting the points and the rebounds, and we need to support him. So that's something we'll be keen on tonight.
Of course, you're down at the point guard spot. David Patrick just coming back, and Nate Green still out, and Paul Vandenberg, sort of a rookie in there. Yeah,
well, Paul's a rookie, but Paul's been playing very well. I was very impressed with him over the weekend, down in West Sydney and up in Townsville. He's, I mean, he's 25, so he's not a real rookie. I mean, he's been around for a while, and I think he's been given an opportunity here, and I think he's making the most of it.
We're going to feature Paul Vandenberg a little later in the show, but it doesn't get any easier tonight. The Cannons host the Victoria Titans again. And the only saving grace is they're at home at the Palace. So after the break, we'll take a look at that game.
Blades Menswear, the world's finest clothes. Versace Classic, Hugo Boss, Louis Theroux, Tom Bellini. Blades Menswear, simply the world's finest clothes.
Welcome back to Cannons Courtside. Our special guest today is David Simmons, who arrived in Australia many years ago from Harlem in New York to play with the Melbourne Tigers. Nothing unusual about that. It represents a real contrast to the way Paul Vandenberg became an NBL player. Here's a young Aborigine who always dreamed of playing big-time basketball. He came to Canberra just for the chance to practice with the team. No money, no contract. Then with injuries to both Nate Green and backup point guard David Patrick, the door opened. Now a former Woodville Warrior from South Australia finds himself not only playing, but starting at point guard against some of the biggest names in the game.
Yeah, he really came with nothing. He ended up hooking up with David Patrick, just staying at his house, renting a room off him, and really just living hand to mouth, and guys taking him out and doing a bit of things like that. But just really connected well with all the guys, just with his hard work and just what a good guy he was.
I wasn't really even expected to play a game, let alone play like 11 games, and then having to start the last 3 games. So it's all sort of a big sort of shock to me, but I'm really soaking it in there.
I still think there's times when he doesn't believe he should be out there, which is, I think, the important thing. He has to break that habit. I think once he goes through and he plays on the Robert Rose and the D-Max and all the Ricky Grace of the league, I mean, every time he's gone there, I mean, he's given up so much. Well, I guess what you call talent-wise, people have been in the league for so long, but he matches up very well on it. I'm not saying he's going out there and dominating, but he's definitely holding his own.
And in particular, I watch Rob Rose a lot too. I tried to mirror myself in basically how Rob played, and then to having to come up against him twice in the last sort of month, it's just been unbelievable. And I mean, he's a really nice bloke as well. Like off the court, he was talking to me and he was like, I remember you from Adelaide, when I was at the Sixers, and I couldn't believe it. He actually remembered someone like myself. And I mean, those 3 people that I played against in the last month are just people that, I've watched all my life and just would never have dreamed of even playing against them or even guarding them.
His position is probably the hardest position in the league. Every team has a good one and a good one that's been there for years. So every time he's going against a legend, week in, week out, and like I said, he's just done a great job. He's been outstanding.
Here's Paul Vandenberg there, who's one of the real success stories for the Cannons this year. David, playing against him or playing with him as a teammate, you've got a program going. I know that you work with Butch Hayes, one of the former greats of the NBL. Just tell us a little bit about that, and how would someone like Paul Vandenberg fit into that?
Phil. The program's called Great Mates, and essentially what it is a mentoring program. And when it comes to Canberra, what we're looking for is mostly athletes who the kids can look up to, who would be great mentors. And I have spoken to Paul, and I think Paul would be a great representative for the team, and maybe even for, we can say, Aboriginal people, because you don't see a lot of Aboriginal players in the NBL, and I think it would be fantastic for the kids to have something to aspire to. So we definitely will be talking to Paul, and hopefully we'd love to have him involved.
I know Al Green's done a fair bit of work over in South Australia with Aboriginals, and I don't know whether Paul was one of those, but Al's done something, and there is really room for that here, isn't there?
Oh, definitely. I think that's something that's really needed in this area as well. So I think, you look at someone like Paul and his success on the court, should definitely trickle on and off the court as well. So there's a lot he can probably give to the community as well, as well as just his basketball talents. And I'm sure that's something he'd love to do.
Well, Paul's going to have his hands full tonight against the Titans, taking on Darryl McDonald. Here's Coach Cal Bruton's thoughts on tonight's game.
They recognize as the best defensive team in the competition, giving up 90-odd points a game at a low percentage. So if you don't make the baskets, obviously they're stealing the ball from you. So, yeah, that is a priority, and it's not one of our greatest strengths at the moment, having led the league in turnovers. So that's something that we've been concentrating on in the last week, particularly over this 3-minute period. We feel that we only allowed 1 turnover per 3 minutes, and if we can keep it to that ball game, we're going to be in the game at the end. I think they're becoming in full strength with Ben Pepper coming back, so they got 3 7-footers in their lineup, and we don't have one. The only one that we got close to that is Willie Simmons, and he's borderline up until game, whether or not his back injury is going to permit him to take the court. So I guess we got to go with the mosquito fleet and try to outquick him and do all the little things like the boxing out, run the floor, keep it spread, and take good shots and make them. So that's the way we have to combat the big, tall timber.
Yeah, it's going to be tough tonight, particularly for you, David, because what about Willie Simmons? We had a report yesterday that he's in doubt up until game time because of a back problem.
Well, Willie's back's been bothering him all week, but he did train yesterday, and I think Willie will be ready. He's a veteran again, so I think he was probably just looking after himself, nursing himself through the week, and I think Willie will be ready for the game.
But they come with the Titans, that is, with Brett Wheeler, Chris Anstey, and if Ben Pepper's in there, you're going to be out there guarding one of the big guys at some stage, aren't you?
That's fine. I've probably done this for most of my career anyway. These guys I've played against and with for most of my career, so I look forward to the challenge. For us at the moment, we're not chasing a playoff spot, so we're still playing for pride and respect out there. So, we look forward to the challenge tonight, and we'll be looking to match it with them.
Cal talks about Ben Pepper playing. I'm not sure whether he will be. I watched a bit of the game last night, and I didn't see Ben Pepper in the game, but I know they want to bring him in before the playoffs.
Oh, definitely. That's a great addition to add to your team, another 7-footer. But I think for Pepper and for a coach like Gorgon, obviously he'd want to work him in very slowly because obviously they're playing very well at the moment, and you wouldn't want to just throw a Ben Pepper in there just because he's 7 foot. Just because, especially when you don't need it. So I think they'll try to work him in slowly. I don't know how much time he'll get tonight, but again, we'll have our hands full anyway.
Yeah, they're pretty well off in the big man department, aren't they? We've got much more to come on Cannons Courtside. The Capitals and the AIS last night in the local derby, and also from last night, one of the biggest games in the season in the NBL. But before we take a break, something much bigger than that. The winner of the Cannons Golf Day held earlier this week.
Want to see the Cannons' next home game for free and get a free meal from Henry's Family Restaurant? You can simply by entering our competition and go in the draw for our grand prize of airfares, accommodation and tickets to an NBL Grand Final. Go to the Cannons homepage and register. It's that easy. Here is this week's question.
And remember, you can catch up with the Cannons at Henry's on a Wednesday night around 6:30. Well, the Canberra Capitals have shifted into playoff mode on the back of 7 straight wins. Last night they were the visitors at the AIS Training Hall, a venue that's very familiar to most of the Capitals players. Here are some of the highlights from that game, which was a very good game. In fact, was always going to be a tough one for the Canberra Capitals, even though the AIS down a little bit below them on the ladder. But Eleanor Sharp came out with an absolutely hot hand and hit 2 threes in the early part of the game. Had some answers as well, but Sharpie hit, I think, 8 points in the first quarter that really kick-started the Capitals. Kristen Veal coming back there with a runner. But this was a very, very tough game all the way through, even though the Capitals at one stage in the second quarter jumped out to a 17-point break. It's always been the way between these two teams that I mentioned Sharpie was in good form. That was the second of her 3-pointers. The AIS have always been able to stick with them, regardless of their position on the ladder. But I guess, all in all, the Capitals had too many guns. The most interesting part of the first half, and David, you'd be interested in this, I've never seen a half where Lauren Jackson has failed to score a field basket. Didn't score one in the first half at all.
It'd be pretty amazing for someone like her.
She had 3 points at half-time, but they relied on plenty of others, and they got the job done. As you see there, they've kicked away by 6 just before half-time. But Jackson came in and did some damage at the start of the third quarter. She'd been very quiet. She picked up 6 rebounds in the first quarter, so she was good on the boards. None in the second quarter, but the third quarter was an entirely different story, and there they are, kicking away. Jackson just stepping up there and hitting a 3. Finished up as one of the leading scorers in the game, as she often does, but it was just amazing the way this game unfolded. At 15-point lead there, you'd say the game was all over, but this is a never-say-die team, the AIS. They just keep hanging in there and doing their thing, and just a very, very tough team to play. Shelley Sandy, the veteran at the end, doing a tremendous job and pacing the Capitals towards the end of the game, and she's had a tremendous season and did a terrific job. And there was a big crowd there at the AIS last night, and they really enjoyed this as an entertainment right throughout the game. But I guess the Capitals will be pretty glad to get that one away, because it will help them kick clear at the top of the ladder. There's the final score, 68-60. Jackson with 18 and As I say, only 3 at half-time. Shelley Hammond's a pretty good job for the AIS with 14 and having to guard big players. Somerton, there's his Kristen Veal.
So we're doing pretty well. Hopefully we'll keep the momentum going into the playoffs. And yeah, and I'm enjoying playing again, and it's a lot of fun. So hopefully, you know, we can keep it going.
And the Capitals take on the Sydney Paragon Panthers tonight in Sydney. Well, last night in the NBL, one of the big games of the season, the Victoria Titans at home to the Perth Wildcats. And the way the season is shaping, 2 teams that could quite easily fight out the final series. Let's see how this one unfolded.
Titans with a 5-2 lead. Good kick to Marcus Timmons from the baseline. Yes.
That's what Marcus can do, and he's...
With Andrew Vlahoff all over him. Good feed into Wheeler. Goes to the middle. Turns back. Good shot over the top. Well, the Perth Wildcats tend to have their best games against the Victoria Titans. Bradley Sheridan with those long arms, and that's what he's in there for. Tony Ronaldson is the trailer. It's way off. Dickel comes up with the rebound. These rebounds are going everywhere. Ronaldson with a 3. Yes. Grace in the lane finds Rogers for the jam.
That is strong.
A very tough game up in Cairns. Stephen Black in the big man department. They are rich. Fisher turns to the middle, fall away jump shot. That's hard to stop.
It's very hard to stop. Too unselfish.
The pass into Vlahoff. He gets it to Paul Rogers, and what a finish. Not a dunk this time, but just as impressive. His agility around the hole.
Rogers has the best hands of anyone of any big man in the competition. Picking knocks down a 3. Ricky.
Jason Smith turns the corner with a floater. That's something he's added to his game, and he gets the roll. The Victoria Titans.
Doesn't get any easier for the Wildcats.
Exactly. Daryl McDonald goes to the hole, flips it backwards, knocks over Marcus Timmons. Bradley Sheridan misses a wide open look. He want that one back. Harvey, pull up in transition. Yes. Big shot. Anstey, too big.
Great pass by Tony Ronaldson.
Snap the ball. I don't think it's going to bother him much. Dickel. He can turn it into a basket after taking a wrap like that. Good pass into Chris Anstey. Out shooting it too quick in transition. Vlahoff with a smaller Jason Smith on his back. Goes to the middle. Kicks it to Harvey. He shoots from the baseline. That's good. Vlahoff trying to get to the rim. Tough shot over Tony Ronaldson. Good D. Jason Smith has numbers. Siegel goes right to the hoop for the score. Keeping the foot on the gas. Stephen Black. This is all academic. They'll try and turn the corner and kick it to a wide open teammate, Andrew Vlahoff. He goes for the 3, and it's short, and that's the ball.
13-point win there to the Victoria Titans and cementing their place at the top of the ladder and making them a very ominous proposition for tonight at the Palace, David.
Oh, definitely. The Titans, which were formerly the Magic, but they're playing well at the right time of the season, and I guess Gorgon just sort of times it very well. He gets the guys playing well at the right time of the season. And again, like we're saying, we're adding Ben Pepper to the mix as well. So they'll be very tough tonight because I think they're in the playoff mode at the moment. So we'll definitely have our hands full tonight. But again, it'll be a great challenge for us to just see how far we've come this season. Okay, and some special entertainment at halftime, I believe. You know more about this than I do. Well, I've just heard about it. I think the Cannons had this last year, and it's the fly ball, the RSPCA dog team, the Australian fly ball. And from what I understand, it'll be a fantastic show for the kids, especially. I think my kids went crazy over it, and I think my young Ben's still talking about it. Okay, next week, and the Cannons are on the road to take on Cairns and Brisbane. Pretty tough trip, but one that you guys should win. I hope you're coming back next week and telling us how well you've done on that trip. Thanks for coming in today. Thank you very much, Phil. I really enjoyed your company, and I didn't get onto your retirement, but that's coming up at the end of this season, I understand. Is that right? Well, we'll talk about that next week. Okay. We'll leave you now with our play of the day. Before we do, I must explain that
these are plays that I don't pick, someone else does. I've had a little bit of flack about these, but thanks for joining us on Cannons Courtside, and we leave you now with that play of the day.
I'm leaving. Have a great day. Get out.
That's it?
Hello.
Now, Shelley Sandy, there's been a bit of doubt about her this week. How's she looking? She's got a back problem.
She has, and it's been something that she's dealt with for a long time, but this week it's flared up a lot. She's missed a fair bit of practice, but we're hopeful that she'll be able to run around and give us her best.
How bad is it?
It's probably the worst it's been, certainly this year, and probably it matches as bad as it was last year, which she played the whole season with a chronic back injury, and I haven't seen her this bad.
She's been playing so well, hasn't she? The last month or so, she's been absolutely on fire, and she's been the key to the whole thing. Where Lauren's been good, but up and down sometimes. Kristen Veal had a great game last week, but down in weeks before. But Shelley's the one that's been there every week. She has. I think her and Eleanor Sharp have been our glue to a certain extent, and I think you could add Lucille Hamilton into that bag as well. But Shelley's season is, certainly in my mind, she's an All-Star 5 candidate. She's played, it's not so much her offence, you know what you're going to get there, but her motion defence and attacking other teams, her leadership on the floor, and her ability to stick it in the clutch. She's one of the few that when it comes down to the wire, get Shelley standing the ball and she'll make something happen. Now, if that back is troubling her this afternoon, it does affect her shooting, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. But I think, again, because she travelled the whole last season with that back injury, she's played with it good, with it bad, with it indifferent, and I think she knows how to adjust her shot to cater to her injury. What about this afternoon playing at the Palace? You're out of your home venue, but this is your home venue for the finals. How do you feel about the Palace? We feel really good about it. I mean, we've done individuals there. We've been doing individual shooting sessions there the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've practiced as a team there the last 3 or 4 weeks. We played 2 finals in it last year. A lot of our girls as former Capitals have played there over the last few seasons. So we've spent a lot of time in that gym. And in fact, the more people that we can get to the game, the bigger that venue feels, the louder it feels, and we feel very much at home. Let's hope there is a huge crowd there this afternoon. Carrie, thanks for sparing us the time. I know it's a big day for you to come in today and talk about the game. Best of luck to all the girls. Would you pass that on? Thanks, Phil. Okay, it is a big day for the Capitals, but there is a game also tonight. You can have a big feast of basketball today. Get out to the Capitals this afternoon at 4:30. Then on to Tuggeranong tonight, because at 7:30 in the ABA, the Canberra Gunners open up their campaign against Frankston, and that should be a beauty out there at Tuggeranong as well. So a big weekend lined up for you basketball junkies. Well, that's all we've got time for on the show today, but being a Capitals Day as it is today, we thought we'd leave you with our play of the day, and we feature this young lady who's really firing well at the end of the season.